It's giving Inception, like when they kick the chair. Whoa, what the heck? What does a red square mean? A square would be like a box, right? Like being inside a box. Red is like vitality, fire, anger, passion. Oh, Han is in a circle because he's in the spotlight. Is it almost like, okay, this is what I think. They are kind of stuck in a box because it's Truman. In the Truman Show, he's stuck in this fake world. I think it's almost like saying we do have limitations, but we like fill that with our passion almost. And it's like our passion that lets us break outside the box or like reach our fans. There's some kind of duality here of being like in between world or like moving between two worlds or something. And that's like Truman, right? Because in the end, Truman escapes. I don't know, if we're being like a song as confident and cocky as it is, the music video doesn't have any Benzes or expensive clothes. Like we don't see any like brand names. They're not like hanging out of expensive cars. There's no actual like bragging happening. It feels a lot more like elemental and yeah, supernatural. Okay, hey you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here. So what happened was I reacted to Truman along with Burning Tires, but as I was editing, I was finding more and more things I wanted to talk about, especially with Truman. It was like every single time I made a note and recorded it and put it in, there's something else I wanted to say. So what resulted was this video that you're about to see. It's not to be too on the nose, a little Frankenstein. Basically, as I was like reanalyzing this music video over and over, I realized that the music video started to make a lot more sense when I used some of the metaphors and imagery that are in Severance, and there are a lot of visual cues as to why that makes sense. So I'm about to explain all that to you, but I just wanted to explain why I'm giving you this video on the side. It just didn't make sense to tack all this explanation on to an already very long video. So my reactions are here separate. You can go watch them. This is just my deep dive onto Truman and why it is inspired by the show Severance, which is a bit of a modern day Truman type piece of media, but is also very different in its own ways. So take it away, Tan. Pew! I was looking really closely at that opening shot where Felix is like kind of bug-eyed and like staring at the camera like this. And I realized for 1 second they flashed to a shot where he's just standing there and he looks normal. And I was like, this could be the difference of him like having his head down and having his head up, because it looks like it changes the perspective of his face. And then I realized, I think they're doing what they do in Severance, where they're using a camera with a different focal length to create a different depiction of his face, basically. Which, if you don't know, in Severance, I'm just gonna like really quick explain the concept of the show, but it's basically a world where people go to work at a certain company, and when they're there, they switch to like an altered state of consciousness where they don't remember anything that happens while they're at work, and they basically make a new personality, kind of like dissociative identity disorder. They make a new personality who only does that job, and then they go home and they don't have to think about or know about work. And in the show, it's also so that they can work on things that are like top secret. But in the show, when the characters transition between one state of consciousness to the other, they have a camera on the characters shifting focal length. And like if you've ever looked at photos of celebrities on the red carpet and their faces just like really wide, and then you look at the like a selfie like on their phone or on your phone and your face is kind of like bug-eyed, that's different focal lengths. So by changing it in one shot or switching between shots like they do in this music video, you can create a really like kind of disturbing effect. So with Felix, they show only like one shot of him in like a normal focal length that I think they would like normally shoot in, and he looks very normal, very beautiful. And then they switch back to the like kind of bug-eyed focal length, but then they really emphasize it. And I don't know if they're actually adjusting the focal length in the shot like they do in Severance, or it looked like it was done with CG to me, or maybe I just like initially thought it was CG, but they actually did it in camera. Doesn't really matter, it's the same effect. And you get this really like alien looking Felix with like his eyes kind of like expanding, and it feels like it's like a change. It could be a change in perception, again with the reference to Severance. The reason why I also think it's Severance is because in Severance there's duality, there's inner and outer worlds, and they have color coding of blue and red of the outie world and the innie world. I'm like all on my Severance theories right now. So like the way I think it relates to this music video is there's a lot of mirrored imagery. There is Felix like on top, and then there's a mirrored image of him below. Han specifically is shot in a mirror, and then there's also a shot where they're both standing on top of like a plexiglass. So there's all this kind of like mirrored imagery here. I love that they're also like the twins of the group, so I feel like that's even more mirrored imagery. There's like a mirrored part of the choreo where they're both like this, which I don't know, gives me like kind of like fusion dance. Maybe it's just because I'm wearing my Dragon Ball Z shirt today. But yeah, I think that's fascinating. And so if I were to kind of tie in Severance to give this some meaning, I said that it feels like they are destroying an old world or something. And I think it could even be, so innies are blue coded. In the beginning, we have Felix in blue, and blue seems to be the dream world. And I feel like with the flames, they're kind of breaking out of this dream world or this inner world and into the outer world. And the outer world is the one that's like in shambles, falling apart. But it's kind of like in order to make their dreams come alive and become reality, they have to, one, like bring these inner feelings or ideas, visions out to the surface. So that could be like the eyes widening, all the mirrors. Doing so, there is some destruction happening around them. There are people catching on fire. Han's like fire bending, and fire elementally, spiritually is cleansing, and it makes way for something new. You have to kind of, and I live in Pasadena, so I know this because half my city just burned down. You have to allow fire to cleanse sometimes to make way for something new. There's like this inner vision that's being brought out by Han and Felix, and you also see it in their makeup because they both have silver makeup on at different parts of the music video, and I believe it's only when they're in their black costumes. Okay, so the thing about, I have to cut this in real quick, I thought about it later, but the thing about the fact that Han and Felix are in black is in Severance, black is the visual cue for the company that is basically controlling these workers who are signified by blue. Stray Kids or Han and Felix don't appear in red, but they do appear in black. And this is also the song called Truman, we can't forget. So Severance also has a very Truman type feel of being constantly surveilled. The workers in the show seem to be constantly surveilled and under control of the company or by the company, but they're not aware of it because they're severed. So they don't really have any context for what's going on. They only know their job, and they don't really know what the outside world is. Now, this is really interesting for Stray Kids because in a way you could say that they only know these two worlds. They don't really know the outside world, as in maybe like the world that I might experience, because they've only really been on this trajectory to be K-pop idols, and they only really know their own inner worlds, and then like mega fame or like power, if we want to associate the color black with power. So in that way, it's like they almost can't escape to the outside world. They can only escape to this inner world. But by Felix and Han being coded with all black and then the silver makeup, it kind of gives the feeling that like they can go in and out of this inner world. They have control in a way. I don't know. This is like really, like, I've extrapolated to the nth degree. We're not really sure. I'm not really sure what I'm saying anymore, but I'm gonna throw it back to whatever I was saying before. So they're never red coded. They're only in blue or black, which I think is really interesting. Whereas all these other people are black with like these red squares. Because what's interesting about the dancers is that they're very expressive. We have people like doing this all number of stuff, which I can't really do, but different dance styles. I mentioned that one of the dancers seemed like Han's anger translator, which if you've seen the Key and Peele sketch, I don't know how to explain in like a short amount of time Obama's anger translator. Basically, expressing an inner anger that Han can't always express. If you think of like Bounce Back and how he said it was a very angry song, but he had to take out a lot of the angry lyrics. I am such a nerd. I'm like doing such a big deep dive on Stray Kids right now. I'm sorry, it really just hit me. But whatever, I really enjoyed this, so we're gonna keep going. If that's his anger translator, then these are kind of like maybe the inner thoughts of Stray Kids. Again, with like black being like this unified world, but there's something that has to get purified, and that's the red. And it's the box, and it's like contained thinking, small-minded thinking. And just to clarify again with what I was saying in my other insert, this is like everyday people who, just as the Lumen employees feel trapped at their job, everyday people feel trapped by their day-to-day lives. And that is why Mark decided to become a severed worker, because he wanted a part of him to be completely free from all the drama and misery that he has going on in his regular life. So it's almost like Stray Kids are like, we don't understand this, but we want to empower people to step out of that narrative and take control by expressing themselves, which is represented by the color black. And what happens when something burns? It turns black. So I would say that this is about outer transformation, but really inner transformation of like finding expression and all these maybe boxed up ways of being and thinking and feeling that we just in general as people get like ingrained in us throughout life. That is my take. Having slept on it and edited it, that is what I'm gonna say is like the thesis of this music video. And I think that the Severance references are probably pretty intentional because it's very timely right now. There's probably so much more that I can bring up, but like that's just going off my dome. So thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon because I'm pretty much gonna go film Escape's reaction right after this. So thank you so much. Please let me know what your thoughts are. If there's any symbolism I missed or like references I missed, please let me know, and bye.